The deployment of Russian warships to the Caribbean has garnered significant global attention and elicited a range of responses from Caribbean leaders. This strategic move by Russia comes amidst escalating tensions over Western support for Ukraine, underscoring Russia's intent to project its military power globally. A flotilla of Russian warships, including the frigate Gorshkov, the nuclear-powered submarine Kazan, the fleet oil tanker Passion, and the rescue tug Nikolai Chika, is expected to visit Cuba and Venezuela as part of a series of military exercises. This deployment, perceived as a direct response to the West's support for Ukraine, aims to showcase Russia's naval capabilities and assert its presence far from its home waters. The presence of Russian naval forces in the Caribbean echoes Cold War-era tensions when the Soviet Union maintained a significant presence in the Western Hemisphere. Cuba, a long-standing ally of Russia, remains central to this strategy, relying heavily on Russian aid amidst its economic difficulties by conducting military exercises in the Caribbean. Russia not only demonstrates its ability to project power globally but also sends a clear message to the United States about its strategic reach. This move is part of Russia's broader strategy to respond asymmetrically to Western actions in Ukraine, reflecting the complex geopolitical dynamics of today. Caribbean leaders have expressed a mix of concern, caution, and calls for diplomatic engagement in response to the Russian naval presence. Many leaders emphasize the Caribbean's historical identity as a zone of peace and advocate for maintaining this status. For example, there are strong sentiments in Antigua and Barbuda against any military activities that could disturb the region's peace. Audley Phillip from Antigua highlighted the region's pride in being free from hostile military activities and urged that it remains that way. At the same time, there are calls for increased vigilance and possibly enhancing local defense capabilities to safeguard sovereignty and regional stability. Some leaders also emphasize the importance of diplomatic channels to address these developments and avoid escalating tensions further. There is also a recognition of the potential implications for Caribbean nations' relationships with the United States. Given the strategic ties many of these nations have with the US, the Russian presence necessitates a careful balancing act in their foreign policy. The arrival of Russian naval ships in the Caribbean is a multifaceted strategic maneuver by Moscow, highlighting its intent to maintain a global military presence and respond assertively to Western actions in Ukraine. Caribbean leaders, while expressing concern for regional peace, also emphasize the need for diplomatic engagement to navigate these complex geopolitical dynamics.